Hi, and welcome to Soul Centered. My name is Ariella Halevi, and I'm trying to find the best place to stand so the light is not in my head. um, I am the co-founder of Soul Centered, a center for loss, meaning, and healing, and I am the creator of the Divine Body Wisdom Program and Healing. So I see clients, I see one-on-one clients and also groups. I specifically see midlife women that really long to connect to their divine body wisdom and heal on a spiritual, emotional, and physical level. So I thought that I would tell you a little bit about how I do that. I see women and I take them along a path to find and discover their soul, ultimately their healing, which is wholeness. And how I do that is threefold. So we look into the body and we explore through emotional release work, through guided visualizations, how to really release the emotions from the body, trauma, grief, transition, loss, illness, pretty much anything that has to do with the body. And that is the pathway to explore more ways to transform your relationships and your relationship also with your body. I often give intuitive readings and energy work that goes along with the guided visualizations. So it's really a specific pathway that we take to ultimately unleash your power, transform yourself, and heal your wounds. So I'd like to take you on a journey today on how to unleash your soul, how to unleash your love, and to find magic in your midlife. So many of us go through life really not connected to our bodies. And so what I'm going to offer you tonight is an exploration on how to best explore and love your body during midlife. So I thought I would start a little bit with my story. And my story is that when I was growing up, I didn't know it, but I didn't have a voice. I didn't know or really feel centered in my body. I always looked outside myself for acceptance and love. And that culminated with my parents getting divorced when I was 13 years old. What happened to me was that I believed it was my fault, and I had a lot of shame over that. And instead of exploring my feelings, I was really never taught how to express myself. I imploded, and I believed because it was my fault that I must have done something wrong, which means that my body was wrong. And so it was when I discovered emotional eating and body dysmorphia that I found a Band-Aid for my emotions. I found a Band-Aid for my pain, really. So I really used the obsession over the body as a way to cover up what I was really feeling, which was disempowered, hurt, loss, sadness, and as if the rug had been pulled under me. The family I had known my whole life was now different and forever changed. And so that was really the beginning of my journey, my body journey, and the discovery through autoimmune issues and various digestive issues to really discover what it was that my body was trying to express to me and how I could best listen to it in order to feel empowered and love myself as I was completely. So over the years, I had released body dysmorphia, released emotional eating, and really connected to my divine body wisdom. And as I entered midlife, it just has deepened and has been a really magical experience. And so I'm here tonight to talk to you about how to unleash your love, starting with the body. This is a taste of a group that I'm offering, an immersion experience that I'm offering very soon coming up. So if you're interested in a group setting where we would meet on Zoom and you would have a private Facebook to explore these issues, we're going to discuss body love today, but in the next few sessions, we're going to explore how to unleash your emotions, how to unleash your relationships, and how to really unleash your divine feminine. So you can always email me at ariella@mysoulcenter.org. I want to talk a little bit about the magic of midlife. So, as everyone knows, Brene Brown, I'm a huge fan. She has this wonderful article about the midlife unraveling. And basically what it says is that when we hit midlife, there is a big tap. I'm rephrasing. There's a huge tap on the shoulder, on our shoulders, that say something in the words of, I'm not messing around. All of the ways you ignored me, your intuition, your body, your knowing, all of those ways that you swept me under the rug, I'm not kidding around now. Now is the time to wake up and listen to me. And I find with many of my clients and just experience being midlife that our 20s and 30s are for exploration and discovery and raising ourselves, raising families, perhaps raising yourself in your career. And we don't have time to explore. And we, quite frankly, we're not close to that teeter-totter of midlife where we can look out at the horizon of what's coming for us. So life is just a day-to-day exploration. And then midlife comes with the magic of hormones, menopause and perimenopause, with a lot, perhaps grief and loss, perhaps illness. It's a message from our bodies that it needs more attention, it needs more love. And I feel that in some ways it's very magical. It's not always pleasant and fun, but it is magical in that our bodies call a ceasefire and decide that they've had enough. And it is our time to listen and to go within and to explore ways to unleash our love towards ourselves and our bodies that perhaps we've never done before, and heal wounds that we have not looked at perhaps ever. So it may seem very scary, but we're going to break this down into 3 steps. So the first step to how to unleash your love is to radically love your symptoms. So that may sound crazy, but the doorway to healing, I learned this as a health coach when I was in school. The doorway to any healing, and I just want to paraphrase that healing doesn't mean you are completely healed. I would never say that. But the doorway to healing, which is wholeness, is to love and accept your symptoms. So you name it, most of us have had it. Illness, hormonal issues, aches and pains, all the things that come possibly with midlife and beyond. This idea that our bodies are not finite comes into play when we're in midlife. And the addition of our bodies starting to react to the way we're living is that all the things that we stuck under the rug, the traumas and wounds that we had, perhaps we've disassociated with our bodies, perhaps we've abandoned our bodies from all the wounds that we've had, they get pushed under the rug. At midlife, with the symptoms, come an invitation to look at the things that we've swept under the rug, to honor and discover what's there. Many of us have had weight issues, the inability to lose weight. I love this idea. Weight is not always, sometimes it is, but weight is not always calorie in and calorie out and exercising and drinking water. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful recipe for some people. For some people, if you're like me, it has almost nothing to do with the way that the body functions. Yes, healthy food and just treating yourself with love and kindness and what you ingest is important. But our symptoms happen with the inability to lose weight, that no matter what you've done, you still can't lose weight. That's the midlife shift. But that doesn't mean that that has to happen. The midlife shift to loving your symptoms and looking at your symptoms as a doorway to healing is to look at what the messages of the body are. Why do we have chronic illness? Why are we stuck in our weight? Why are we constantly with this illness and these symptoms and pain? So they are a doorway to discovering what your body needs. Um, Symptoms are a way to talk to your body. It's communication, simply as that. I also love this idea that as we get older, we start to unhinge the intense pressure we put on ourselves to look like everybody else. So it's this discovery. As you use the symptoms that you're having, you can discover that the doorway to healing is to release this idea that we are supposed to look a certain way. It's just not realistic. So loving our body is really inviting the divine feminine in, to listen to your body, to discover what it needs, and listen to your symptoms. Your symptoms are the doorway to healing. So the second, I just want to tell a story. So I've had a couple of clients, I'm going to talk about one in particular, that had an extreme shoulder issue. So much so that she couldn't raise her shoulder. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong with it. It was basically a frozen shoulder, but she didn't injure it. She just did nothing to it. And so what we did is we used the symptoms, which was intense pain, as a doorway to her healing. And we went in through these emotional visualizations to discover what was lying underneath. What was the messages that her pain wanted to give her? And what she uncovered was this feeling of being stabbed by some of her coworkers, by a good friend. And it was this intense feeling of being stabbed. So while it wasn't the physical, she was having physical pain, it really was the emotions underneath it. And once she expressed it and looked at really what was underneath it, the pain started to go away. And after a few sessions, of course, every session is different for every person and every body, she was able to express what was inside of there, and her pain is completely gone. So sometimes, and most of the time in my experience, the doorway to healing is through your symptoms. It's not to run away from your symptoms. It's actually to move towards your symptoms. The second step in releasing or unleashing your love is to radically stop the war with your body. So most women, I find, have this negative tape running through their head, possibly since they were little. I know my tape started when my parents got divorced, and it became this running, constant negative voice inside of me, so that no matter what I did, and no matter how much healing I had and how many positive affirmations I did, nothing stopped the negative tape. So it becomes a habit, and we forget that we are whole. But our job is, through these tapes, is to remember that we are whole, that we don't deserve or need to live with the negative tapes in our head. So what happens with habitual negative tapes is that we become alienated. We become alienated not only from our power and from our voice, but we become alienated from our bodies and from those in relationships with us. If you feel like you lack intimacy in your relationship, sometimes it is because you have to look at your relationship. And sometimes it is because you already feel alienated from your own self. You can't get closer to somebody else if you're not willing to look at the ways you are alienated from yourself. So radically stopping the war with your body is a way that you can regroup and become more in relationship with our body. So, and as we age and as we become midlife seekers and finding the magic, our bodies just decide that it can no longer cope with separation. It can no longer tolerate these negative beliefs. Have you ever felt like there was a time in your life where you had an aha moment? Maybe it was an intense joy, and maybe it was just intense loss and everything in between. You had that moment. It was like, I can no longer live this way. So I think about the pandemic we're having, and I know that a lot of us are saying to ourselves, including myself, you're going along a path, and then something big happens, and it just unhinges everything that we've ever thought about ourselves. And it says to us, how do you want to live the rest of your life? And so really that's what midlife is. That's what those aha moments are. Unfortunately, that is what, I think the beautiful part of COVID-19 is that some of us are able to see that. And the other part is that it's just a great, it's a huge struggle. So let's go back to talking about negative tape cycles. Most of us live in our heads for most of our lives. We live in our heads where there are thoughts, right? So it's a safer place to live. Most of us have cut ourselves off. We live from here up, and we live from our judgments, our reasonings, our speculations. Our mind thought that it was protecting ourselves. So perhaps in childhood or perhaps somewhere down the road, you needed your mind to protect yourself from something that hurt you. The problem is that the mind can't experience life, right? The mind is a feeling, the body is a feeling quality. The mind doesn't experience. The mind, it kind of just shoots back information. A lot of times people have told me, and I've experienced that in a therapy session, not every therapy session, but in some therapy sessions, it's just a running dialogue of our thoughts and our judgments on an experience. But when we are connected to our body and not alienated, then we are actually experiencing life. That means that we are experiencing all of life. So life is experienced when there's joy, but all of life means that we have to be open to experiencing pain as well, and everything in between. That is true intimacy. That is how to radically stop the war with your body and how to release the tapes inside of us. If we run from it, then we're disconnected, right? And then we have body hatred. There are so many of us that have body hatred due to the lack of living inside of our bodies. So we think that we have all these things that we hate about our bodies, the inability to lose weight, the trauma we've endured, all of those things. The problem, the core root of the problem, is that we haven't lived inside of the body maybe for years and years. We don't have experience in knowing what our body needs. It's as if you raised a child but never really got to know the child, to understand what the child needed. So our bodies are the same thing. We don't like our bodies simply because there's a disconnect. And the body becomes an object that we have to force into a certain size, that we have to force into what everybody else says it should be, that we have to be a certain way that isn't necessarily true to our bodies. Midlife comes along and says, nope, you need to listen. Here I am, and you need to listen. So I have a client that I also do this to combat or to really look at the negative tape cycles in our lives, in our heads. We have to invite them in. There's a Buddhist teaching about how there was a Buddhist who was having all these negative thoughts. There was fear, there was rage and anger and sadness, and he ran and ran and ran from them, and they just followed him. He couldn't get rid of the voice in his head. So one day he invited all the voices to tea: rage, anger, sadness, terror, fear. And he listened to them, and they all got a chance to talk. Once tea was over, they walked out, all the emotions walked out the door and never came back. Why? Because he was willing to listen to them. So my suggestion, the tool that I have that I like, is that every day is an opportunity to talk to our bodies, to talk to ourselves, to talk to our emotions. You can do that in meditation, but a simple way of doing that is to go for a walk. Put on your headphones. If you don't really want to look like you're talking to yourself, you can bring your phone. But if you start walking and you're out in nature and you're feeling open, it kind of gets you out of that rut of being in your house. You can start to explore what you're feeling. So if you have any symptoms, you begin talking to it. Or if you have any negative tape cycles, you just start talking about it. I feel angry. I feel tired of this voice. I'm angry. I'm sad because X, Y, and Z. And start talking out loud to the voices in your head. I know that sounds a little crazy, but once you start talking to them and feeling them and getting them outside of your body, that's what speech is. It's taking an action outside of your body. Then you create the pathway to your higher self, to your all-knowing, divine, feminine, beautiful self. It's like as if you cut all the weeds away and all that's left are beautiful flowers. That is the pathway to soul. That is the pathway to unleash your love. There is no other formula greater than what I just told you in my experience. There's other techniques, but that is the easiest way to do it. The third cycle or step in unleashing your love is to release negative thought cycles through radical acceptance. Ultimately, when we're not connected to our body feels rejected. It creates more negative conditions. It creates havoc. Think about a relationship you have when you constantly reject the person either goes away or the person fights for your attention. And sometimes when we reject our bodies want us to know that we are here. Our bodies are this beautiful gift that we are given in this lifetime. So many people think we are physical beings having an occasional spiritual experience, but radically accepting the body is partly understanding that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. Ultimately, we are spiritual beings, but when we reject the home we were given, which is our bodies on this earth, then we are rejecting a big portion of ourselves and our connection to spirit and our connection to our souls and our high selves. So the body is striving for balance. The body wants acceptance, but we can't force our minds to love our bodies. So many times I've had this discussion, and I've done it, where we think about this idea of positive affirmations. You can't you can't talk yourself into loving your body from your head. So when you're slapping on positive affirmations on top of the negative tape cycles and the hatred and rejection of your body, then you're simply putting a Band-Aid on what hurts. If you want to create positive affirmations, the first step is to come into what hurts, what's bothering you. The next step is that you've cleared the weeds and now you can come into positive affirmations. It's the best way that I know to come into positive affirmations. So self-love and unleashing your love is to learn how to feel. We're going to go over that in our group when we join in a group together. But when we learn to accept whatever we feel about our body, yes, that means if you do hate your body, if you learn to accept it, then your body feels better. I know it sounds crazy to learn how to accept the fact that we hate our bodies, but it's what you feel anyway, right? It's behind all those voices anyway. If you truly don't like your body in this moment, then just be honest about it. It's the first step to creating a relationship of love. It sounds counterintuitive, but it is the first step to creating love. Resisting and denying and being motivated by your negative feelings to make external changes only suppresses your feelings, right? So when we resist and deny how we really feel, it doesn't change anything. We just stay stuck. Accepting the body, again, doesn't mean love. It means radical acceptance of all those undesirable feelings we have about it. It's a decision to end suffering. It's coming to terms with this idea that you are not perfect, that you are human, and that you're not supposed to look like every other person in this world. You are supposed to look like you, like we all have those individual fingerprints. Every body is different. And if we force ourselves into somebody else's body or the way they look, we are not being authentic to ourselves. Your body is a part of you. Radical acceptance of your body is accepting that everything that you've gone through is stored inside of your body. It's really accepting all the feelings you have about your body and the fact that our bodies are going through this life with us. It is the one thing you can't get rid of until you die. It is the one thing that really doesn't want to leave you. Other people, other relationships may have left you. You may have been hurt, but your body, even if it feels like it's rejecting you, even if it's ill and you are sick, your body loves you. Your body wants what's best for you. It doesn't mean healing in the way that you may want, but it does mean that healing, which I call wholeness, is always, always here for you. So there's a difference. Radical acceptance and unleashing your love on your body is about really looking inside as to how to be in relationship and be whole, to stop the war on your body and finally accept it. So I'd like to do a quick meditation, and then we're going to discuss the group that we're going to be offering soon. So closing your eyes and taking a deep breath in and a long breath out. So really get comfortable here. Maybe open your palms. If you're not used to meditation, this could be new for you. And just really settle into your breath and settle into your body. And begin to soften your body. Soften the front body, dropping any armor. Imagine hard armor just kind of releasing down to the floor. Release and soften the back body, letting any armor release off of the back body. And feeling as you breathe in and breathe out, this divine openness inside of the body. Perhaps like a spaciousness, like an open spaciousness around your entire being. Let yourself come into how your body feels in this moment. And imagine traveling to the place in your body where you have a symptom, whether you have illness, pain, wherever it is that you have a symptom. Imagine that your body travels right into this symptom. And as you travel inside of it, you come upon a magic door. And slowly opening the door, when you're ready, you find a beautiful guide or a mentor, maybe someone who's passed, maybe a guide in your life, an animal. And opening yourself to this guide, begin to feel or picture what's happening inside of here, underneath the layer of the physical body. Begin to see any pictures in your mind that gives you a doorway to your healing. Just sitting with that for a moment, knowing that all is accepted here, that whatever you see, experience, or feel is okay. And feeling and seeing that divine message from your guide. Perhaps you take your hand to the place where you have symptoms and just send some love. And then perhaps you radically accept what's here. Even though you hate it, even though you may hate it, even though you may struggle with it. Imagine that you're creating a relationship with your symptoms and with your body. And you can slowly open your eyes. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining us, and feel free to email me or check back at Soul Centered, our page and our group, for a group coming up that will explore how to unleash your love in 3 different forms. So tonight we did the body, and the next 3 times we meet, this will be a group that you can join. It is for a Zoom webinar that you will get information from. You will also be able to share and explore your personal issues through a private Facebook group. You'll get some spiritual tools and lots of support. So that is coming up very soon. If you are interested, you can always email me at ariella@mysoulcenter.org. And the 3 classes that we'll go over will be unleashing your emotions and unleashing and really finding that divine feminine inside of you, your powerful voice, and also unleashing your soul. So transformational ways to really find your soul. Namaste, and hope to see you soon.